It doesn't do your son or daughter any good to be in the bottom 1/3 of a team if you're just a connector between two very good players. That's not a growth mindset. We're trying to put players into positions where they're going to develop.
You know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, which is great, but we should really be talking about it not just for a month, but every single day.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Monte here, and it's the It's Your Neighbor podcast. I am with my co-host, and he is back from his speaking engagement, Anthony Alvarado. What's up, Anthony?
Yes, and that is the disclaimer. My name is Anthony Alvarado. I am back, not from vacation. If you checked out last week.
I did think about that.
I know, right? Speaking engagements, we'll get into that a little bit later.
Though.
I was in Florida. Let's be honest. Do I have a little bit of a tan?
Do I look? For sure.
Do a little bit? Okay, sure. Cool. And this is your co-host, Anthony Alvarado. We are back in the studio this week interviewing your neighbors that are here making a difference, making this one awesome place to live. Who do we have in the house today?
Dude, we got a twofer today because we got somebody impacting our community.
That's right.
And we have a client.
Oh,
right.
Let's go.
Eric Gebhard.
That is right.
So we have Eric Gebhard here. He is from the Wisconsin United, representing Wisconsin United soccer program and a whole bunch of other things, I imagine. But
right.
We're going to get into all things. I mean, this soccer program is pretty huge, right?
Yeah, we're in our 5th year now. It's grown to over 2,500 members.
We're not joking around.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Huge youth program, Wisconsin Loons, repping on your jersey, your pants. Yeah. You got all the gear.
Yeah, I wore my clean shirt today.
I know.
And you got your beard looking pretty nice.
Yeah.
You know what
the cool part about all of this, and Eric brought this up before we started, he was on my past podcast.
Yeah, you guys were talking about that.
And you can still get it on Spotify. It's the Take Action podcast. Yeah. And so Eric and I were on there, and we both were really kind of just starting our journeys out. And now his thing is at 2,500, kids in his soccer program, and we are what we are now, And
you said it was over about 5 years ago. Even mindset was totally different then.
Yeah, but
didn't even know if we make it through 2020. Really,
I think it was 4 years ago. We were very concerned about costs and growth, and 4 years later, that's more concerned about the wellness of the person, taking care of our community. That's grown a lot in 4 years.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. And you and I go way back. I mean, we've always just kind of like crossed paths randomly.
Yeah, that's right.
My first real sales job, and I was an insurance salesman out of college. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then my best friend passed away. Then I went into school for civil engineering at the time because that's what he did. And then I had this water treatment class that I took. So I'm like, I need a job. Found this job in the classified ads. And it was a water treatment thing. So I'm like, well, this will count towards work experience. It wasn't. And I went and tested water in kind of a BS kind of way. Yeah. And so I became I learned sales skills. We had a really great manager and a good sales manager who taught me a ton of skills. And I'm thankful for Kyle all the time because he was only my manager for like 4 or 5 months before this company kind of went down there. But Eric and I were both part of it. And he was a top commercial water sales guy. I was a top residential water sales guy, and I was selling water softeners, and you were selling bubblers, basically.
Yep. Commercial water. Yeah,
so a lot has changed since then.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, we just kept running into each other and vibing off each other, and still helping each other out. So it's kind of cool.
So why don't you take us through some of that journey? Since Monte, obviously, you guys have a connection. Where does this all started for you?
Well, so with the club, it's Wisconsin United is the result of a lot of people putting their egos aside, which is unusual in youth sports, to say the least.
Rare.
Yeah. So it's the collection of the Howard Suamico community, the De Pere community, and the Appleton community coming together and saying we need to do something better for our kids. And it's not the assumption that we're trying to make everything at the highest level possible, although that's also happening. But what we're doing is we're providing levels of play that are relevant to the kids. So in other words, it doesn't do your son or daughter any good to be in the bottom third, in the bottom 1/3 of a team if you're just a connector between two very good players. That's not a growth mindset. We're trying to put players into positions where they're going to develop. So bringing all of that together, it's been a huge success, and we're the events that we're hosting that's showing up in our registrations. We're killing it. All the numbers are up, but we have a great staff. And basically what summarizes the organization is a quote by a gentleman named Clive Charles. He was a famous soccer player from Portland, Oregon. And he said, through the game of soccer, we have this tremendous opportunity to teach young people about challenges they may face in life.
Mm-hmm.
And that summarizes Wisconsin United. It's the right way isn't the easy way.
Yeah.
It usually isn't the easy way. And we try to build character in our kids, and that, all that kind of stuff is really important.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, even last week, we were talking about me being in Florida. I speak to young people around mental health. And last week, we literally were talking about how in school, especially, young people don't typically get taught to learn from failure, to learn from those hard lessons, right? But that's ultimately where we see a lot of the growth, especially as teenagers, especially as we get in even to sports programs and we face some of those challenges, whether we're competing personally or with somebody else. I mean, that's really where that growth can happen.
We suspected, and then we put it to the test early, that you pick teams based on talent, right? You would think, but you pick teams based on character and hard work, and those teams go a lot further because that mindset is when you get
weird how that works. Huh?
Yeah, when you get 15 to 18 kids that all have the same mindset and they're committed to a cause, they could go a lot further.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that this morning this week, yesterday in our training.
That was a big thing for us.
Our team asset. Like, what does our team look like and what position are you in?
Yeah.
And how am I in a position? And we used basically head coach and offensive coordinator as being the roles to help the team, to help empower our players here at Take Action, right?
It was interesting too, because it was like, when she laid it out the way that she laid it out, it was really like, for me, it was to describe what we have going on here is we're a very young company. And I mean that in experience. And I mean
7 months too.
Yeah, we're 7, 8 months, not 9 months now. I think we're done. So, but the talent that we have within the walls of what we have right now. And really the other cool thing is the cohesiveness that we have within, I think, our team, and our team's starting to get it, right? Like, I think anytime you start a business, and you knew this, that you can not get in the 2,500 day one, it's a constant build, right? And so for us, that's the same thing that we're focusing on, is like putting the right players in the right places at the right time. The interesting part is we have me as the head coach, GM kind of thing. We have Anthony as the offensive coordinator. We have Rob as our, all things operational, kind of behind the scenes, if you use the analogies. And we have Elena as our defensive
make
coordinator.
Touchdowns, basically.
And then we have a whole bunch of really, really talented rookies. Like, they'll all be like, if there was a draft, they'd all be first rounders. That was my job, to develop a bunch of first rounders who have no playing experience, kind of thing. So, challenge accepted, right?
Yeah,
so we call this the preseason, and then mid-June, when we're at our 1 year anniversary, we're calling it the regular season. And it's go time. But that's how it is. And I think, and I, me, I have my 10 years of work experience helping high school students to college coaches, connecting high school students with college coaches. And, like, that's a huge thing. Character, work ethic are far more important than talent, because talent, you can be the most talented person at your age, but there's the late bloomers that come up who have learned through failure and are still around. They didn't quit.
Right.
Those are the ones that are like, I use the football analogies because that's what I know more, but I look at like the JJ Watts, right? JJ Watt was a 0-star, 1-star recruit out of high school. And all of a sudden he's the best defensive player in the NFL, 8-9 years later. It's kind of crazy how
and
that all
some
goes.
of those players are doing what you talked about, putting the egos to the side, right? And really learning how to grow on that path.
Yeah, this year we put more kids into college soccer than ever. We're looking at half a dozen college scholarships.
That's cool.
In the past, it's maybe 1 to 2 a year. So now we're systematically doing that out of this community. And breaking news, the Brown County just committed $3 million in grants to youth sports infrastructure.
Yeah.
Very exciting. The ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act, came available, and there was $3.2 million to give away. $3 million of that went to youth sports infrastructure.
That's awesome.
To promote tourism in the city or in the county. So that's very exciting, because you see these facilities and you travel other places and you're like, we do not have these parks.
Have those resources, right?
But they're starting to recognize it. So,
which is great for us as realtors, because that's going to help bring people in.
Absolutely.
More supportive community. And that is actually really rare. Working across the country, I see so much need for prevention, education, support for young people. Middle school, high school environments, sometimes younger, even older. And this doesn't happen, right? Where the limited resources, especially in rural Wisconsin,
I talk often about how we used to we lose soccer players to baseball or football, but now we're losing them to the couch.
Yeah.
And you know, and what they
To
say about
Netflix.
an idle, an idle
Idle
mind is
a
the
dangerous
devil's
mind.
playground.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep.
if we can just get them off the couch doing something, and we can create these places to play, whether it's soccer or something else.
Yeah.
So that's really
So
awesome. What Brown
what's
County
Wisconsin United's plan with the grant?
Yeah, so we were awarded $1 million. Wow.
No kidding.
And,
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's
and
huge.
A steward of helping write that grant and coach us through it was the Village of Howard. So they're going to be the general contractor.
Nice. Awesome.
The first phase of this, it's a $2 million to $2.25 million project. And it's to develop 2 turf fields at Norian Park, where we already have lights there.
Yep.
So
very nice.
We hope to get it to a point where it starts to resemble a stadium, so we could potentially come back and maybe put Monte's soccer team on there and sell some tickets someday.
There you go.
That's right.
But for the first start, it's going to keep kids out of the parking lot with the nets. We got the lights up, and it's going to extend our season. Right now, we basically play third week of April through the end of October. This year, we wouldn't have had to stop at all, except for a couple weeks. We go indoors, which makes everything a little bit more crowded because our numbers are big. But
for sure.
This year, we potentially, if we had turf, we could have gone straight through. So that's exciting.
Yeah, that is awesome. I don't think we're going to have many winters like this, but
no.
No. I mean, it was good for you for where you live.
Right.
So we got to just test it out a little bit with that long driveway.
If you think about Brown County and Green Bay and what the hotel infrastructure needs in March and April, those are desolate times for the hotel industry.
Hey, I'm a Airbnb short-term rental owner. I know exactly what you're talking about.
If we can get 5 to 6 weeks of people coming into town for games, that could be a huge impact.
Absolutely.
And that money also went to Cornerstone Ice Center, ISA Baseball, Sports Emporium, Celtic Rugby. I'm probably forgetting somebody, but it's awesome to see that they recognize that it needs to go to youth sports.
Yeah, and that the great part is it's not like it's not a football thing, because football is the driver for funding and money. But I played rugby for a little bit, and the Celtics, in Green Bay, they've kind of just been like that mom and pop rugby team, but they're become more serious. They pump out kids on the national level now, and guys that are playing on like the U.S. national team have come right from Green Bay.
Yeah.
So for them to get recognized and get some funding too, which is so awesome.
And it's huge. I mean, we just had a 4th and Long in here. So Avery, he's heading that program up. It's more of a kind of just a campaign to support young people to get into sports, right?
Yeah.
And by selling clothing, right?
Okay.
But just a huge initiative to support those young people, especially in high-risk communities or underserved communities, right? Giving them access to sports programs, sports equipment, paying for registration fees, those type of things. It's so exciting to see that there is a change, like you said, that $3 million going back in the community, $1 million going out to your program, more attendance, more, I guess, renovation to the local community, and making it, again, a better place to live for family and for the children that are part of those families.
Yeah, so when we start to have these conversations, people say always, how's your growth? Are you guys getting more kids? And that's exciting. We could do that. And we are doing that. But I try to explain to people, we're not in a phase of growth. We're in a phase of galvanization. So the couple of problems we're trying to solve is injuries for female athletes ages 13 through 19 with the ACLs.
Yep.
We're trying to create injury prevention, performance training, but also now we're seeing record anxiety in sports, mental health, all those types of things. Is we're starting to add value to our program that way. So,
in what ways are you doing those things with the injury prevention first, and then mental health? Because that seems to be a topic that we talk about
all the time.
Like once every 2 episodes, we're talking about mental health.
Yeah. So mental health, all of our coaches go through Safe Sport, which is the bare minimum. But beyond that, U.S. youth soccer.
What's Safe Sport? Just for those who don't know.
Safe Sport is it's a safeguard for coaches to identify stuff that shouldn't be happening in youth sports is probably the best way to do it.
Gotcha.
Almost
But
like
now,
so like the dad on the sidelines who's like they like to identify that
predatory stuff, conditioning stuff.
Yeah.
Certain behaviors that come out.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So that's the bare minimum. Now we're starting to see U.S. youth soccer is adding a module to support us with mentally training the coaches, and then locally we're going to be working with Prevea on a mental health first aid. We've always done first aid CPR training, but now we're going to go through a more thorough mental health first aid, and that's going to be by trained professionals.
That's outstanding.
So
I wonder if that includes like a QPR, which is similar to like a CPR, but in this case would be for suicide prevention, for example. And
from
really
what I hear,
providing peer support on site to your staff and players.
I think so. From what I heard, it's very extensive. He said it takes longer than the CPR course, but it's important. You know, you're seeing high school football players that are reporting anxiety. You never had that before COVID, so it's becoming a really important thing.
No, I think you had it. It just wasn't talked about, which I think is a good thing. I think it's a step in the right direction.
That's true too, right? As men, maybe we're not allowed to talk about it, but they're starting to see that.
You're starting to see the changes. Yeah.
Because I mean, I remember playing high school football, and I had anxiety all the time. It wasn't until you're told you're nothing. Yeah. Like growing up, back in the 90s and even before that, it was like, you ain't a man, you ain't this. Stop. You've got this little aches and pains and whatever, and stop being a,
well, yeah, I mean, back then people used to say all the things, right? Stop being a pussy, stop doing this, stop doing
there,
that.
You said it.
I know, I did say it. But no, this actually just came up on the road because I talked to a lot of men in my speeches. So a lot of the workshops and seminars I do, it's really interesting to me. Like last week, a lot of the men, while they didn't open up necessarily with a lot of conversation, they just needed to hold space with another man that was going through something. I've gone through a lot of grief. I was able to share that on stage, and men were just opened up to me and just said, thank you for being vulnerable, for being open, for being honest, right? And we don't do those things a lot. But when we do, even on the show,
better, for sure.
You hear anxiety is kind of one of those things where it's like building up pressure in a bottle. Like when you shake up a soda, bottle, it creates a lot of pressure. That could be the pressures of life, right? Say school, maybe something's going on at home. Maybe a breakup, maybe your job situation, financially, maybe something's going on. Maybe you don't have food at home. Some of these kids don't sleep at night. All those things, a test is going on tomorrow, whatever, you're getting bullied. That's going to add pressure. And when we don't talk about it, it just adds more and more pressure. So what we like to talk about is just taking that cap and relieving that pressure a little bit, letting that air out. And that is through conversation. And you're starting to see that more often in schools. Of course, we should have it in our curriculum. We talked about all the time, but May is Mental Health Awareness Month, which is great, but we should really be talking about it, not just for a month, but every single day. And that can happen through sport.
And I think it's awesome that you guys are that forward thinking, like, hey, this is more than soccer. This is more than winning, a championship league game or whatever.
Or recruiting every student in the local area too.
Right.
People saying like, do you have growth? We're like, well, we're trying to actually help people grow that are already on the team.
We have growth, but we're growing humans. We're growing, we're not growing the program.
Numbers. We're not trying to be statistics.
Yeah. Right? But I mean, 2,500 people that have that kind of impact, like what you've created, and the other people that you're, that are part of that program who are able to see that.
Yeah.
And to be able to know, like, hey, we can have a much bigger impact because those 2,500 kids, obviously all of them aren't going to turn out to be good eggs, but like you're making a huge impact on future community, the future, like the kids are the future. Like we know that. So like for you guys to be able to create leaders and create people like that, that's so awesome. Because I mean, that's everything. When you look back to like when we were younger, our coaches were the biggest, like you name a person other than our parents, our coaches were our biggest role models and people in our lives. You guys are doing that through this program, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
And at this, it's a balancing act, right? So it's okay for people to be hard on your kids, but it's not yelling. It's not mindless yelling. It's
challenging.
It's demanding. Demanding something that they don't think they can do. And then what we see is in the endurance sports, which is soccer, kids are getting higher grades. The discipline, they're working through walls that they didn't know they could get through. And I think they end up living bigger lives.
Is that why those cross country kids in high school are always smarter than me?
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, probably. Yeah,
maybe. I don't know.
But that makes sense to me. I mean, growing up in high school, I wasn't too much of a sports athlete. I usually sat on the bench. Or
the fact that you said sports athlete.
Yeah, exactly. That's why people are like, you don't play sports at all. And I was like, still to this day. But at the end of the day, like I still think about those coaches and those places to go to and to connect to the team and other people that were good at sports, just to be able to watch them grow, really, honestly. And then when my son really loved basketball and soccer, more specifically, that he was good at both sports, he thrived when he was playing and he was on the field. He told me consistently that when he felt most alive is when he was out on the court. And I can't tell you how many students I've met that have said something similar.
How
Because it
many
doesn't always
people-
feel that great going in other places.
How many
school,
kids
home,
wouldn't
etc.
stay in school or excel in school if they didn't have the game to participate in?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I would have done.
Right. Like
So-
I skated
probably
and,
wouldn't be
and
here right
biked
now.
and I mean anything with a motor, I was
If I
good.
didn't have sports, I can guarantee I probably wouldn't have been here.
Yeah.
Another big initiative of ours is women's leadership, because if our daughters don't see females in leadership roles, they don't think it's an opportunity for
Right.
them. So,
Mhm. Say that again. What was that?
oh man, I barely got it off the first time. We want our daughters to see women in leadership roles.
Yes.
And that's a challenge. It's hard to get them in.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I take a lot of criticism for not having, but it's a difficult thing.
Mm.
And what we found, the hardest people on women coaches are other women.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to say, hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're behaving badly here.
Yeah.
Maybe you should give her a chance, because she is a Division I athlete. She is somebody who's
It's
come through our
crazy.
program and understands the protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you're not being fair with her.
It's crazy to me right now, just watching, we just got off the women's NCAA
right?
championship and Caitlin Clark and
That's
how
amazing.
amazing she
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah.
Biggest
But like
numbers
the
ever.
amount of women that are attacking her right now,
Really? I didn't know that.
it's
Yeah.
so amazing. Like just like and obviously it's insecurity and jealousy and all the other things. Like she's so incredible and she's held herself together really well. But you have like these professional athletes, these WNBA players just coming after her on a consistent basis now, saying
that
she's
ego
not
again.
going to be anything or whatever. And you're like,
Yeah.
hey, yo, like respect the game, respect what she's done. She's broken every record. This woman is incredible. And then you have like, Dawn Staley, who is the South Carolina coach, who like was awesome and like gave her kudos. But like, ladies, stop attacking other ladies. Like it's crazy to me. Like guys don't do that stuff. Like, I mean, they do, but they don't do it to that level of like, they like trying to chop them down.
I know. Ever since she got that serious offer, even from Ice Cube, she got that offer to be
$5 million.
to be on the team.
Yeah.
That's wild. She's going to change
But
some things.
ladies, come
So
on.
the tournament we have coming up with Menasha, the Menasha soccer tournament, is be close to maybe 200 teams this year, which is another record. But we take $15 of the registration that goes to the Wisconsin Women's Soccer
That's
Advisory
awesome.
Council, and hopefully we get more women into leadership roles. And then 3 other organizations we work with is we do a Patriot Cup Labor Day weekend for veterans.
Nice.
We do. We took over the Miller Cup. We're trying to get that back to its. It was at one point the largest adult tournament in the area.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, our rock star tournament director Ann Bona, Ann Mackey was her maiden name. She started this foundation for scholarships at St. Norbert College when a female soccer player, Ashley Hawes, passed away. So the Miller Cup and the Captain's Cup and the 3v3 we do, they support the Ashley Hawes Foundation, which is educational scholarships for St. Norbert College. And then finally, what was born out of our founding fathers, out of the Appleton Soccer Club, is the very popular right now. It's the largest soccer tournament in the state of Wisconsin. Kicking it for a cure, the summer shootout. We've mostly that's been to breast cancer. There's been a few years, including this year, we're going to do pediatric cancer.
Sure.
Just because when we investigate a charity, we like to give to charities that most of the money kind of reaches the end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we
It
found
goes for what it's intended for instead of admin and all that other stuff.
Ann found a dynamite pediatric cancer. So with that tournament, since the maybe late 90s, we've donated almost $100,000 to cancer research. And,
Let's go.
And then on top of that, we've extended our contract with the state of Wisconsin for the Division I and II tournaments, hosting them in Brown and Outagamie County. So the whole state of Wisconsin competitive soccer comes up here. So
And where's that held again? Where's that going?
Southwest Park in De Pere.
Okay.
And USA Fields in Appleton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Well, and I think the coolest part out of all of this is you're not just a soccer program. Like we didn't hardly talk about any of that. We talked about, the mental health and
supporting the youth
and injury prevention and
women leadership.
Give back. I mean, it's wild.
Like, personal development.
But that's the big picture, right? Like that's what we're doing with real estate too, is trying to be like more than just people. That's why we have the It's Your Neighbor podcast to shed light on stuff like this. And shed light on the community and be part of it. And you're doing that, which is
I think
awesome.
if you have these kids that are more psychologically hardy, you can push them further.
Yeah.
You can demand more from them, and it's showing up on the field too. We have
and failure doesn't mean quit. Failure means I learned.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had 2 teams that were in the mix for a national championship. We had we have two teams that have won state titles. We have, I think, 5 or 6 state titles over the last 4 years. Prior to us getting together, we'd never had any state titles because the communities are too small. We're trying to compete with Milwaukee and Madison, and the populations are huge. So Northeast Wisconsin can compete. We just all got to get together on the same page. So
Nice.
Well, I think what you're doing is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's cool to hear. Like we've chatted, but I didn't realize like what kind of impact you guys have been making, and to get the recognized for the grant and all of the other things that you guys are doing is so awesome.
Went up to the website. It looks awesome. By the way, for anybody that is looking to find you guys, where do we find you?
Yeah, wiunitedfc.org. So, and tryouts are coming up in June.
I mean, obviously, you guys are doing amazing things. We talked about it. We're biggest youth serving organization in the Northeast Wisconsin area. You're bringing the community together. Substantial funding's coming in, so you have a momentum. Like, you have these great initiatives that you've talked about, games, tournaments. All this can be found out on site. Is there anything else that you wanted to speak on behalf of, Wisconsin Loons or just Wisconsin United as a whole?
I think just the people that I said, it's the result of a lot of people putting their egos aside and working for the common good of the youth. The founding fathers are Shant Meston, which is the DOC of Appleton. Dusty Rhodes, the Rhodes name is very popular in De Pere. Derek Rhodes, who runs the Sports Emporium.
With soccer.
Yeah.
All over the area.
And then Brian Kamler's, he's a MLS veteran, was in the league a long time, and he's bringing analytics to we have some of our coaches have gone on to work in the collegiate ranks. We have a coach that's gone to Creighton, was in the Final Four, and then moved on to St. Louis City FC, which is in the MLS. And a lot of the analytics that Brian's working on inside our club are at play at St. Louis City FC and Creighton. So it's awesome to see this has legs and it's going somewhere. Yeah. And then we have Ann Mackey, who was we had tournament directors and volunteers that were all working together. And then we had this dynamo living in De Pere running the national tournament. She would go to Indiana and St. Louis and run the big Region 2 tournaments.
Sure.
She's right here, and we never
interviewed her. Yeah.
So when she said yes, it dressed us up as far as our special events, and that's just been off to the races. And then our juniors program, ages 5 to 10, just Kendra Jepson now we have that female leadership, and we have Blake Johnson, who was the old Lawrence University coach, and then we have we have Derek Rhodes and Bree Rezicek leading that program in De Pere, Derek was at UMass, Bree was at UW Green Bay. So we have all these wonderful people, and there's so many more. I missed a lot of people. Vicky King, who came over with Appleton Soccer Club, she's our backbone. She's our admin who keeps us all kind of organized. Which, if you know about soccer coaches and being organized, if we didn't have Vicky, the whole thing would be a mess. So, and so it's just it's scary when each of these people that I mentioned were kind of running their own thing.
Yeah,
it's scary to give up control of that.
Yeah,
and you had to take a leap of faith, but together,
and the impact.
It's the synergy together. It's amazing how it's
people.
All. Yeah.
People with talent. What were we just talking about?
Yeah.
It's a rock solid staff, and it's incredible to watch everybody work together and learn from each other. Yeah.
That's
awesome.
How can the community get behind you guys?
Well, I think, the next step for us is to renovate the sports infrastructure in northeastern Wisconsin. And it's probably not the best way to say this, but Brown County throwing out $3 million maybe pushes the community next to them to say,
hey, we're investing, you invest.
We got to step up, or we're not, we're going to fall behind here. So we're going to roll out an infrastructure plan to improve the parks, the indoor facilities. I'm sure we're going to get involved in the Sports Emporium project. They're building a new facility soon, and our kids need those places to play. So anybody that's looking at contributing to any cause youth sports and improving the parks and the indoor places to play, that's how people could really help.
Absolutely. Awesome.
No, that's fantastic. So you ready to switch it on us? Are you ready to ask some questions?
Yeah.
Of the co-host today?
Yeah.
Good job. Good transition this time, Anthony.
Yeah. You like that? I've been working on it.
All right, I love it.
On vacation, I was working on it.
Yeah. Vacation.
Yeah.
So I feel like we've come a long time, and you have in almost the same period of time.
Mm-hmm.
What is the biggest challenge facing your business?
Oh, I mean, right now they got the scare tactics with the NAR settlement ruling. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the world about, how you disclose commissions and how you're going to be structured on the buy side of things. And I think it's going to be messy for a minute until we get some real direction on that. But I mean, it's always, the market's always fluctuating. So I think the biggest thing that I advise, really anybody in real estate is one, everybody's trying to time the market perfectly. Those interest rates drop.
Right.
We don't know if they're going to happen. We don't know. Like, our political climate is so messed up right now. Like, we don't know what's going to happen next week.
Yeah, we could be in the new norm for some time.
So it could be.
Yeah.
But always, I think the comforting thing now that I've been in 5 years is I've seen like how great it can be and how difficult it can be, and I've weathered it. And now I can bring that, tough times to agents that are newer and be like, yo, like it's going to be shitty for a minute, but work hard. You'll come out of it so much better on the backside of it. So I think that's the biggest challenge, is being able to weather the ups and downs of real estate, and then being patient enough to build your business is, I think that for anybody, like probably like you guys too, is like, you get to those moments where you're like, I don't know if this is going to work.
Right.
And then,
right.
And then you just keep working and it works. You grind through it. So yeah. So I would say that's probably the number one challenge right there, is just like, it's always changing. So you don't know how it's going to change.
And just to add to that, I mean, you being a brokerage, we do much more than just sell homes, but at the same time, obviously we focus on that. And so that is always part of the conversation that you have to break down with your general public, right? So interest rates are high, or, inventory is low.
And they're not that high, actually.
And the demand,
And the reality of it.
is going to be there no matter what. People need a place to live, right?
Yeah.
And so it will always be a viable market. It's always good to invest in the real estate. I mean, we've had great guests on providing insights and education just to try to not just become a local resource, but really have a relationship with the local community and provide, a great opportunity to maybe get into that forever home in a great community. And that's why we feature guests like you. You help make this place an awesome place to live. Again and again, Northeast Wisconsin is highlighted as, that's one of the best places to live in the country. And we're starting to share those stories. But the challenge is overcoming some of that misconception, right? The market's crap. People are holding off from buying, et cetera. But, the truth is, you find a good, affordable home out there, it could be a great opportunity for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you have a daily routine or a weekly routine? And this is for either of you, that to set up your day or set up your week, that if you miss it, it's kind of going to be a problem.
Oh, yeah.
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 You want to start? I'll answer that too.
Yeah. So one of the things, I'm an individual in long-term recovery. And so I really focus on my mental health. So if I don't take good care of myself on a regular basis, and that can look like a variety of different things. For the last 15 years, it's looked everything from coaching, mentoring, to like real support, therapy, stuff like that. But honestly, just making sure that I eat right, sleep right, and make sure that I can disconnect throughout the day and get a little bit of a break, a breather, does go a long way. And having a plan, whether that's on a daily or weekly basis. I mean, we meet from the very beginning of the week. We have our checkpoints throughout the week to make sure that we're succeeding and moving forward. And if we don't do that on a regular basis, it's almost impossible to build up that discipline, especially in those early startup phases. So we focus on, hey, are you doing well as a person first? And then that definitely reflects into the health of our business.
Yeah, we do give that flexibility to all of our people. As long as they're open and communicating, like, hey, I'm struggling today. It's like, go do what you got to do. Like, let's get out of here. But as far as my regiment, I mean, as a real estate professional, you're on everybody else's schedule. So the biggest things for me is I make sure that I'm in the gym at least 3-4 times a week. Like, I have to do that. There's stress that just builds up running a business.
Oh, yeah.
This business isn't easy for everybody. So I got to make sure I'm in the gym, doing that, getting good sleep. That's another important thing. I'm sleeping by 11 p.m. Every time. I'm usually up by about 6:30, quarter to 7 at the latest.
Sleep is so important.
And then, I'm in the office before, 9 o'clock, that kind of thing. So I've got it tied down pretty well. And then, I'm just available, all the time.
Yeah.
because I don't know. Like the times I'm most productive is when everybody else is gone. So that's when I get all my work done. Nobody sees, like, working when nobody is watching. That's when I'm most productive. And that's what I have to do because I got to be available for everybody else the rest of the time.
And for our leadership here, we were putting on a lot of work. Our team's growing really fast. So for us, we probably work a little bit throughout the day, right? And I think, even when I take a look at how I set my day up, you know what I mean? I really time block. I literally put in like, here are the times that you're going to work on these important things. Here is the self-care portion of your day. Here's the time you connect with your family. Hey, by the way, you might want to call your grandma, right? Like I literally write these things down every single week. Otherwise they do not get done.
My Google Calendar is like, hey, if I have an idea and it pops into my head, it's going into my Google Calendar and I'm working on that for 15 minutes to remind myself. And sometimes I'll look at the calendar and I'm like, what did I just put in there?
Right.
And I have to remember what I did. But that
alarms can be your friend. I have a little bit of
everything. But I think that's the thing I love about it because my ADD is real.
I set up alarms throughout the day for sure.
You squirrel here, squirrel there, and then come back together. But that's the beautiful part about being a real estate broker or even an agent is it's different. You can be like this is different. Like nobody does a podcast and then goes into this morning. I had a listing appointment at 10:30. Then at 11:30, I had training for all of our agents. And now we're here in the podcast studio at 2:00. And it's like, all right, my day is completely different. Like it's perfect for my brain.
Yep.
When are rates going to come down?
Everybody asked me that. I'll tell you what, when they come down, I mean, once if the unemployment rate goes up, so that means less people are working, usually interest rates drop. But you always watch the 10-year bond market. And, Justin answered this a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We don't know. We can speculate and guess.
And employment rates are pretty strong right now, but those fluctuate obviously every single year too.
They fluctuate weekly.
And
you're also getting into the summer working season. So more people are going to work and have more jobs now. But I think rates will come down when everything kind of stabilizes again. And then we'll do it. But there's so much uncertainty right now. We're printing money like crazy. So if we stop printing money, interest rates might come down.
But we're like at 6, 7, maybe 8.
Yeah, I mean, historically, the historical average since mortgages and interest started happening is 7 point something percent. So we're still below the historical average. So they'll come down. But
people are like, well, what are those 3s and 4s?
I don't think
I don't know if those are ever going to happen again.
I don't think 2s I can now. Yeah. That was like a once in a lifetime thing.
That's what got us into this mess.
That's what people were holding it for, right?
Yeah. Well, true. I mean, everybody, we have a little bit of a logjam in inventory right now. And so the people who refinanced or bought from 2020 to 2024, 23, 22, really, rates went up in August of 23, I think. 22. Rates went up in August of 22. So there's only a 2-year window really of like really, really good interest rates. And then before that, it was like 4, 3.5 was like the lowest. And then COVID happened and then nobody was doing anything and the market was stale. So they had to
something.
Yeah. So of course, interest rates went to nothing. Well, then everybody bought houses or refinanced. Mortgage lenders and agents were living fat and sassy and living great, thinking the world was going to be this way forever. And then August of 2022 came, interest rates went into like 7.5% real quick. And then everybody freaked out and nothing happened. And then nothing now it's like a normal market. Like when I started in 2018 and 19, this is kind of how the market was. Like, it wasn't super easy like it was for 2 years, but that's how it is now. So to answer your question, I don't know.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Long-winded thing.
We were told today that it's okay to say I don't know. So thanks, Rob.
Really good guy. Tell us
thank
that.
You. He's in the
On
back.
a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the best and 10 being the worst, how bad was it to work with Tanya and I?
Oh, that's great.
Left field question. Let's go.
Now that we're on camera and I can make this on the record. You guys are great. I mean, it's very different. It wasn't necessarily you. It's just the situation that we had. So you guys were great. You always had everything done when we needed to. It was difficult there at closing, but when you're doing a buy and a sell and you're trying to time it out perfectly, it's so hard. So like for us to be able to give you the moving truck and to be able to use that, you had your thing there with the house and not having it all cleaned out perfectly.
To summarize this, we came back from vacation and the lady found a place she liked in the middle of my busy season.
Yeah,
of course.
And to really summarize the situation, it came down to them coming to view the house. We were still in it. Us saying, well, we'll just go for a walk. And then it starts to thunderstorm. So it becomes us, 3 dogs on the back of a moving truck with the door pulled out, waiting for these people to go through our house.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean,
it's awesome.
It's always, it's like short-term pain, long-term gain kind of thing. And
it was brutal.
I thought I did a pretty good job prepping you for that, is to be like, hey, dude, this is not going to be easy. Because it's not. Like, whenever you have a buy and sell and you have to have everything out of your house in one day and into another house the same day, and you have, like, luckily the buyer or the place that you bought was get lucky enough to give you some yard and some garage space to put your stuff into.
Otherwise,
but it was
rain done.
Man, like,
I don't know how you guys are, but when I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
And we walked out of that house. And the first time I sat down in that day, I got a text from Monte, and he said, "You need to go back and clean up." And I was like, I would have paid any amount of money.
Yeah.
to never go back there.
Can you just burn it down?
You had to go back. Yeah, I forgot. You had to go back there. And,
Can we just burn it
like
down?
10 p.m. And I'm like, no, dude.
You got to go back and clean up. Yeah. Oh,
get it
man.
done.
I was so embarrassed by that. But
oh, man.
We're very happy.
It worked
where
out.
we're at.
Like I said, it's always difficult, and you have so much. And I think that's the other thing, too, is a lot of people forget, like, how much stuff you go through a transaction. And I was doing a speaking event for some lenders, and they asked about, like, the relationship between a realtor and their client, and then the communication between a realtor and the lender. And if that communication gets broken at any point, like, stress levels go through the roof. And so you're going to have stress no matter what. But, like, I told them, I'm like, listen, they're like, why do you think somebody changes from before they get an accepted offer to during the time they get an accepted offer? Like, people go crazy. I'm like, because first of all, that person now has to empty a house in 30 days, probably, or less. They have to get you all the paperwork that you're requesting, which is oftentimes, like, way too much stuff. And they may have moved their computer now. They may have moved their office. They may have packed it all up. Now they got to go in and find these old W-2s and documents. And if they're not in a perfect file, they're there. Then they have people walking through their house, strangers walking through their house, trying to like look at their stuff and
during the
look through
busiest
their
time
stuff
of the year
and doing all that. And they have jobs and they have lives. I'm like, so yeah, if a person changes who they are from before when they were getting pre-approved to after they sell their house and they have to try to find and buy a new house with a home contingency on it and everything else, some people are going to go crazy.
I feel like we have a new show coming out of this conversation right now.
But it's literally like, it's like, you have to have empathy for those people. And that's where like the good agents and the good lenders are able to go, it's okay. Like,
and that's why they
you have
say,
to prep
like,
them.
one of the highest stressful moments of your life.
Absolutely it is. It's going to be shitty for a minute. Like, it's not going to be perfect. I try to make it as perfect as I can, but it's humans. If it was just houses are easy. Humans are difficult. And like, if you can combat that and be ahead of it, and even your stuff, it was stressful, but I warned you. I was like, this is going to be stressful. Just be ready.
You know what saved me through that was we got one offer and it was over ask. So I just kept imagining these people have been through some shit, and they're not going to lose this.
They're not going to lose this.
So we got to capitalize here. So
it was awesome. So so that's it. I think the biggest thing is just like understanding what a person has to go through. And why they might go a little bit crazy. And especially like you guys have 4 dogs. Three. So you have to like
settle down.
3 soon to be 4. I'm just kidding. 5? Okay. So
I think we need a kennel license.
Yeah. So
we need a kennel
you're going to have, so you have all of that, but then think of somebody who has like 4 kids. And then they have to like scoop their kids up and they might be on schedule. Some of the kids might be in sports. They might be wherever. And then you have people walking through the house and you're trying to move. I'm like, no, that's where that's where a really good agent's going to be prepped, prepared, and say, okay, guys, we got the offer accepted, but here's all the stuff you're going to go through for the next month until you move. And it's going to be stressful. So just be ready. And if they know ahead of time it's going to be stressful, generally it's a little less stressful. And then even it's still stressful.
So the property's been great. I have to share a story with you. We're out one day and we're out with Tanya and I are out walking the dogs, and she looks panicked, and I look up, I see all 3 dogs. There's the big black one, there's the red one, there's the tan one, and then I look down next to me, and the big black one's standing right next to me.
Oh boy.
Tanya's like, that's a bear.
What?
We were between 10 and 15 yards from a bear, and I thought it was my dog Sam, so I was...
No big deal.
It's a little cub.
Yeah, and then I looked down at my dog Sam's right next to me, and the bear vanished. The dogs chased the bear, obviously, and then for a moment, I was completely oblivious. So he's walking at us, we're walking at him.
I'm petting his ears.
Yeah.
He's
got self-esteem issues now because he doesn't know why he doesn't scare people away. Yeah.
Were you like, you get like on those videos where all of a sudden your dogs bring a bear home or something like that and they're best friends?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, there's my dog Sam, Dex, and oh, you're right there. Well,
we'll call him Charlie.
What's that then?
That's Bear.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That happened 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Love it. Cool.
So thank you. Yeah. That's all I got.
I love it. Cool.
Awesome.
I think that's a good wrap.
That's a
pretty
wrap.
good story.
That's a good wrap.
Again, where can they find you?
WIUnitedFC.org or Google Wisconsin United Football Club.
Right. And one disclosure too, you guys are pretty full right now for this year, correct?
Yeah, trials is in June.
Okay.
The way it works is trials come in June for the following August. So we'll have teams at 5 to 6 different levels.
Awesome. And at what age can they start? 5 years old?
5 to 19, and we'll soon. I'm sure we're gonna have adult teams soon. We do like some winter leagues with intramurals for adults. So yeah,
awesome. Very cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
Good stuff. Well, thanks, Eric. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being an awesome client.
Thank you.
Advocate
so much
for the community. You're doing awesome stuff. It's fun to watch us grow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. All right, guys, this is It's Your Neighbor podcast with Anthony and Monte, and I would love for you guys to go check out our brand new website at tarealitygroup.com. You can not only check out our podcast, but we also have our rentals on there. I know we talked about our moving truck, for example, that is free to our clients, but also you can rent that. You can also rent our spaces out here. Even this podcast studio is available. So again, go to tarealitygroup.com. Check that out. We also have our team on there and everything.
And while we're here, Eric actually used our moving truck.
That's right.
Yeah.
What'd you think about that beast?
What a resource.
What a resource, right? I'm actually thinking about using it after this. I have to get rid of a bunch of cardboard. Is that cool?
Sure. We do have recycling here, so just
I'll just bring it here.
So that's great. So cool. But thanks again, guys, for watching. Anthony, we'll see you in 2 weeks now.
Yeah, I'll be in Cali next week, and then pretty
vacation.
Much going to be done with this 10-city tour after being on the road for about 10 years.
So cool what you did, though.
Yeah, thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you. All right, guys, take it easy. Bye.